What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today's video is going to be a little bit more of an informative one. What I mean by that is I see a ton of people on Twitter, StockTwits, whatever it is, saying that Lucid is going to go down to $5. And when it does, they are going to back up the bus. They're going to buy Lucid pretty severely. I want to beg the difference, and I want to say that I would be extremely cautious and very worried if Lucid does ever get to $5. So I'm going to talk about what I mean by all this. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe, always greatly appreciated. With that, let's get right to it. So again, I'm not here to spread any FUD. I like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this video is going to be a little bit more of an informative one because there still is a ton of investors in Lucid that is fairly new and that maybe don't know the ropes and things like that, and potentially what that $5 and why that is a very big deal. So when it comes down to Lucid, I think since the get-go, before it even started to produce any vehicles, there was a huge amount of institutions getting in. And I think a lot of them saw Lucid as the Tesla 2.0 or whatever you want to call it. But regardless, as you can tell, PIF is a pretty big substantial position. There's also Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, First Trust, and various other ones. Obviously, there's a massive amount of institutions backing up the bus into Lucid. But when it comes to it though, there is a total of 1.19 billion shares being held by institutions, a total of 68.95 million shares being held by strategic entities. So when it comes to it though, there's something that you need to keep in mind if it ever does go below $5, and that is this: the $5 threshold. So a little bit more of a backwards mentality, but if a company ever does go below $5, it is officially considered a penny stock. And when considered a penny stock, a lot of institutions are kind of restricted on buying it. And what I mean by that is a lot of institutions cannot hold penny stocks on margin. So going back here, obviously the PIF does not hold Lucid on margin by any means. Neither does Vanguard or BlackRock. But a lot of these other institutions do have most likely Lucid on margin to some regard. So once again, there's a lot of institutions, and when dealing with a lot of institutions has its own level of risks. So going back here as well, so like I said, they can't hold Lucid potentially or even penny stocks on margin. So that might be a little bit more of a negative, because obviously if it does go below that $5 mark, they would be forced to sell or at least cover their margin or whatever it is. But regardless, not a good aspect. Outside of that, a lot of other institutions potentially won't be able to hold them in certain accounts. And what I mean by that is a lot of trust accounts won't be able to hold Lucid in their position. So as you can tell, there's a lot of trust right here, even Northern Trust right here that does have 3 million shares. That unfortunately would have to sell some of their position depending on what accounts is being held in. They would have to sell some of their position in Lucid. So you guys get what I'm saying. If it does get below that $5 mark, I know theoretically it would seem as a very good buying opportunity, but a lot of these institutions would be selling. So a massive amount of flooding in the market would happen, causing a very severe downward pressure. So let me know your thoughts on that. I've been investing, like I said, since 2009. One very big notable one was in 2012 when Bank of America, so one of the big banks, went below $5. I remember at the time, the market was absolutely crazy. Everyone was panicking about this because Bank of America is obviously Bank of America. A lot of banks trade with each other and hold each other in other portfolios and also on margin. So Bank of America was getting very, very close to the $5 mark. So this is where the market was extremely spooked by that. And like I said, when it comes down to, for instance, that would cause a little bit more of a ripple effect as well. So what Bank of America did, they tried to boost their stock, and it did luckily work in their case. So they did actually avoid kind of any tentative selling from institutions. But obviously you guys get what I'm saying. This is a very, very big deal that potentially people just generally don't talk about. And in this day and age, one company that is currently going through that is Sofi. So another company that I do cover as well. The only difference between Sofi and Lucid is Lucid has a huge amount of institutions that own it versus Sofi. Their biggest biggest one was SoftBank, and basically over the last couple quarters, they reduced their position down to zero. So there's no real big institutions that own SoFi. So again, that might be a little bit more of a positive in SoFi's case, negative in Lucid's case. But SoFi did recently pass as well. I believe it was in July during their shareholder meeting. They did pass that they are going to be doing a reverse stock split to keep that stock price above that $5, because obviously that $5 is a very big deal. But unfortunately, since the shareholder meeting, like I said, SoftBank, which is their biggest institution, or was their biggest institutional holder, did sell out. So once again, this is a very big deal. So again, I'm not here to spread any FUD, but potentially if Lucid does get down to $5, which based on the technicals and the trend that we are on, it could come. Never know. I'm not here to say it is or isn't, but if it does come, I am going to be very, very worried. My own opinion, I'm not a financial advisor. I just like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And like I said, this video is a little bit more of an informative one because Lucid still does have a lot of investors that maybe didn't live or potentially invest in 2012 when there's a lot of scenarios that kind of taught me that. Because if I did not live through and invest during this time frame, then yeah, I probably wouldn't know this kind of $5 threshold kind of behind the scenes. But with Lucid, they are a own different beast because it has a massive amount of institutions that are investing in it. And I think generally speaking, that's been always a very big positive. But keep in mind, if we do get to that $5 mark, that positive will very quickly turn to a negative. Of course, there's a lot of different scenarios that could happen. Of course, Lucid could potentially follow suit to SoFi and do a reverse stock split. Also, there could be a huge rush of new investors coming in to kind of keep it above that $5 mark. There's a lot of different scenarios that could play out, but I just like to give you obviously a little bit more of a tentative warning. But let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciated. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said though, I appreciate you guys all watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.